Hear final closing thoughts from Senior Policy Advisor John Markovic and BWC TTA Co-Director Dr. Chip Coldren. Thank you.
An awful lot of, I think, interesting, hopefully helpful information presented today. And I'm going to try and just keep at a relatively high level on a couple themes that I picked up on, maybe make a few comments. John, then hand it over to you. So I think on a general level, I really kind of appreciated Chief Moore's talk today, and I think his talk served almost as like an example of the story that everyone's telling, and the story about the things that we've been learning about body-worn cameras over the past 9 to 10 years, and that is that this is 10 years into this work, still a very dynamic field. And it was impressive to me the way that Chief Moore has kept on top, new developments and new opportunities for analytics and learning and working with the community. And I have to give him a lot of credit for the way that he has, pursued that and kept with it. And it seems to me like, as LA has learned, so have we. I'd like to say that that's kind of the way this whole program works, as technical assistance programs, that we learn from each other. And so as I was listening to the presentations, I got the same sense that, we're talking about things that we talk about repeatedly, about compliance and audits, and about, innovative uses of cameras, and about prosecutors' involvement. And these are, topics that we return to frequently. But there's a lot of energy and a lot of work being put into keeping ahead of these things and keeping abreast of developments. And again, it's just a very dynamic field. I remember early on in our work with body-worn cameras, I was struck by how this particular technology touches on almost every aspect of policing operations. And it's still the case. It's still the case. You can't talk about body-worn cameras without talking about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different, very significant impacts in the agency, in the department, and in the community. So I just thought the way the chief opened up the session today was his way of laying out what we heard the rest of the day. Again, dynamic field, things are changing all the time, a lot of energy and effort being put into keeping abreast of things and keeping on top of things. And I think we should all just take note of the fact that that's happening. The other theme that I picked up on today in the various sessions I was at is this whole notion, I just wrote this down, focusing on the positive. Whether we were talking about, innovative uses of cameras and ingenuity in the field, or we were talking on sustainability, even talking about analytic tools. A lot of conversation about using cameras to highlight and focus and hammer home the positive work that's being done in policing. And so I just emerged, from these sessions today with the notion that we are and we should be focusing on the positive. I'll say one quick thing, and maybe two other just quick, more detailed things that I picked up on that I appreciated. In the session on, the emerging analytic tools and looking at natural language processing and, camera visualization, especially for agencies that don't have the wherewithal to hire, high-powered, analysts to do this work, is the emergence of open source tools that are available for people to use. Obviously, we should all be careful about using what we don't completely understand, but I think it's interesting that these resources are becoming available. And maybe we should spend a little more time focusing on exactly what those are. The thing that I liked about the prosecution session was when they talked about involving prosecutors in the training, in the academy training, and the training that goes on for line officers. So I thought that was pretty cool. And that prosecutors were talking about how important it is and how helpful it is to have the officers give their narratives on their cameras as they're, getting close to a scene and getting close to respond. So, again, things that we have heard off and on over the years and over the months, but things that we are well advised to pay attention to and focus on, and continues to be an extremely dynamic field and awful lot of good work going on. So John, I'll pass it off to you with those comments.
Thanks, Chip. So first of all, I concur with you. I thought Chief Moore's comments really pulled things together, and he addressed committed chief who's invested in this process and the dynamic field and the changes in the body-worn camera ecosystem can do by managing effectively. The other thing I'm struck by is just the tremendous diversity of capacity we have in agencies, large and small agencies that are relatively new to adopting body-worn cameras, to agencies that have a lot of experience under their belt and are serving as some of our demonstration sites and starting to do advanced things with artificial intelligence, working with academic institutions. And I realize that not all agencies are at the same footing, and we've worked to try to improve that. We did have the Small Rural and Tribal Micro Grant Program to meet the needs of smaller agencies, on the side of streamlining the process for applying for grants and for managing grants. But yet, I think there's still a big digital divide in the country with respect to body-worn cameras that falls along the size of the agencies, but also in other respects as well. And I'm wondering how we can have more agencies benefit from things like this. What I think we have here with the body-worn camera program is we have agencies that, first of all, competed against each other. So by and large, I think we have motivated agencies that are incentivized to use body-worn cameras and do a good job of it, not just acquire them. We're seeing more states mandating body-worn cameras. So I'm wondering what the differences will be in terms of those that are sort of volunteered, initiated body-worn camera acquisition on their own versus those that are replying to state mandates and implementing them grudgingly. I think there might be some interesting field research that might come out of that as sort of a natural experiment. But I think we need to keep the pedal to the metal and keep moving forward with what we're doing and helping those smaller agencies be able to compete, not only compete for body-worn camera grants and funding, but also take advantage of some of the analytical tools. I think that open source data and open source tools are promising, but yet, they require a bit of sophistication that smaller agencies may not have to use. And one of the things that I've always pushed, and I think we need to continue pushing, is regionalization. Smaller departments in a county or even some states may be able to work with leveraging economies of scales for smaller agencies, which would help with purchasing body-worn cameras and equipment, but also with managing digital evidence and with maybe using things like artificial intelligence tools across agencies. Again, sort of an economy of scale coming into play. So as usual, these sessions is hopefully imparted a lot of knowledge, but given me a lot to think about and a lot of homework to do in terms of sort of refining the body-worn camera program to better meet the needs of the diverse law enforcement agencies out there. So with that, I'll close the session. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow at noon for another full half day. Thanks for sticking with us, and we'll see you tomorrow.